Hi guys. So today's video is going to be my August TBR. August is a fun month because it is both my husband's birthday and my friend Jashana's birthday. They're both really big readers themselves, and so I thought it'd be really fun to try and read a couple of things that they really love, and so I'm going to start with those. I'm going to start with the one that my husband wants me to read. He's a big comic book and manga reader, primarily comics, but he's getting more into manga, and he actually picked a manga, and that would be Blade of the Immortal. We, of course, talk to each other about what we're reading all the time, and as soon as he started telling me about Blade of the Immortal, I was like, I gotta read that. Don't spoil me. Don't tell me any of the significant plot points because I have to get to that. For those of you who have never heard of it, it's about an immortal samurai and then this girl who's not immortal. She's like 16 years old, and they kind of buddy up together. And it just, the way he's been describing it to me and the stuff, because he's a little further ahead, he just says it's starting to get so good, but it also has a little bit of humor in it too, so I'm so excited for it. Moving on now to the book that Jashana decided on, I texted her and I was like, hey, your birthday's coming up, and I really want to read one of your favorite books, and I know you love Aeronauts Windless, I know you love, wow, I can't say any of these. I know she loves Aeronauts Windless, Parasol Protector, and I Darken, and she ended up going with And I Darken by Kirsten White. This book is a historical retelling, and I think that there's been some communication errors in the marketing of this book because, or at least in how people have interpreted the synopsis, people seem to think that there is magic in this book because it's a retelling, but really it's purely just a retelling. So it's honestly kind of just historical fiction, which is all good with me. I love historical fiction, and this one, Jashana has told me, has an awesome sibling relationship in it. It's got tons of intrigue, and she says the main character is super cool and she's not messing around, and I'm really pumped for it. Next up, we have this month's buddy read, and that would be A Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. I go into more detail about the plot of this book in the buddy reading specific video, so if you want to hear more about it, you can check that out. And if you're interested in joining the buddy read, there's still time. Just go, you can comment on that video saying you're interested. All the details for how to join is in the video. But the story follows a society where 20 years ago there were these godlike people who were overthrown and taken out, and anybody who served those people were known as gifted. Because they had a relationship with those people who were overthrown, the gifted are now somewhat oppressed and mistreated, and one of our main characters, Davian, starts to realize that he may have some of the same powers that the people who were taken out had. I've heard it's really fantastic. I've heard that it's got some Sanderson vibes to it, and you guys know I love me some Sanderson. Next up, I'm going to stick with some adult fantasy, and I want to get around to Dancer's Lament. This is kind of a prequel to the Malazan Book of the Fallen series, which I'm not gonna lie, as much as I love epic fantasy, I'm a little intimidated by that series, but I have been told by some of you that this is actually a really great place to start, that the book's a lot of fun. I don't know a ton about it, but I'm gonna take your guys' word for it. Next up is a series that is very popular right now, and I have kind of been wanting to read it when the hype died down, but the hype continues to stay strong. So I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna finally get around to it, and that would be An Ember in the Ashes. I'm actually really excited that I've talked to a couple people who have recently started this book and have said that it starts with action, and the reason I'm excited that they told me that is because I normally hate when books start with action, because why the heck would I care what's going on to these characters when I know nothing about these characters? But they have told me that once it starts to settle down a bit, that they're really enjoying it and that they think it is worth the hype. I'm gonna try to ignore the hype anyway because I don't want it to affect my feelings towards the book. I don't want it to alter my perception of what's going on. I'm just gonna go into it disregarding all of that. Fingers crossed I like it. And the last couple things I'm hoping to get around to in August are just continuations of series, and that would be a Jim Butcher Dresden Files book and then some more of Full Metal Alchemist, because if you have never watched the anime or read the manga for this, you need to. It's so amazing. Oh my gosh. You've likely heard me talk about these series before, but just in case you haven't, the Dresden Files series follows a wizard detective in our own world, and it's very funny. It's a great starting point for anybody who's never read adult fantasy or adult paranormal or anything basically in the adult fantasy science fiction section. And Full Metal Alchemist follows these two brothers whose mother died when they were very young. Their father's not really around, and so they tried to bring their mother back using alchemy, and things went terribly wrong, and one brother lost an arm and a leg, and the other brother, his entire body something happened to it and they had to attach his soul to a body of armor. It's a pretty bizarre setup, but it is, oh my gosh, one of my absolute favorite stories. I've watched all of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I highly recommend you do it too. You can find it on Netflix. It's so amazing. Skip the first episode though. It has nothing to do with anything. I don't really know what's going on in the first episode. Anyway, that's it for my August TBR. Happy birthday in advance to my husband and my friend Shauna and my mom. Actually, there's a lot of birthdays of people I know in the month of August. Let me know if any of you have read any of these books. Let me know what your thoughts are on them. But anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Happy reading, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.